So the news of the main opposition, PDP, remains unrelentingly bleak. In addition to the many who've left the party, more appear to be preparing to leave, escaping, they say, from the mess created by the deepening political conflict within. The leadership of the PDP has been attempting to assert the party's survivability in the face of the wave of defections by senior party members. They're now pursuing legal action against those defectors. And they say the APC and President Tinubu are trying to break the PDP in order to own it, but that this would never happen. And they say the party would never forget the lessons of the betrayal from the entire PDP structure in Delta State. But the deserters say it's not a matter of if, but when there'll be another tidal wave of defections from the PDP to the APC, another humiliation for the main opposition party. So, as the wave of defections rolls on, we ask, how did it come to this?
That as a political family in Delta State, we needed to be able to move ahead, to truly connect to the resources. As I did say yesterday, it's not about a Borori. Yes, he's the leader of the party as the governor. It's not about me. It's about the larger Delta State and the larger political family that we have. And I thought, in my own opinion, and in the opinion of the vast majority of leaders, because we had different levels of consultation. It was not just a question of a decision of the governor or a decision between the governor and Dr. Kowa. We had various levels of meetings with several stakeholders and even had to make consultations with some of our other leaders who are not even politicians before we came to this decision. And I think that our decision is right politically. I believe that we mean well for our people, and it is important for us to chart a path for ourselves that we think we can truly trust and that could bring political gains to the people of Delta.
To recover our mandate that they have taken away, the fortune of this party cannot be just left in the hands of our adversaries. So he will take legal action to retrieve those mandates as per as per the Electoral Act that says whenever you leave, you must leave the chair that you have occupied. So we are going to still do that.
And that's the acting national chairman of the PDP, Huma Damagum, there saying that they are going to be taking legal action against those defectors. And before him, of course, we heard from Ifeanyi Okowa, who was the governor of Delta State and later became the vice presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2023 election. He led the charge of the defectors, and he was trying to justify the reasons why they defected. Well, for his assessment, I'm joined now in the studio by the former lawmaker and former two-term governor of Benue State, Senator Gabriel Suswam, who is a leading member of the PDP. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much, Charles.
What's your reaction to these defections and the argument of the defectors, such as Ifeanyi Okowa, that we saw there in defense of their defections?
Well, Charles, thank you very much. Let me first give a context to the question before I answer it. When Goodluck assumed office as the president...
That's Goodluck Jonathan.
Jonathan,
right.
After President Obasanjo. Obasanjo, then as ex-president, leading member of PDP, devalued the party. That was when the problem of PDP started. He tore the PDP card in presence of the media. That was when the problem started. Now, beyond that, when Goodluck left as president, he has never attended any meeting of PDP anywhere. These are major characters in PDP.
But is he still in the PDP?
Who have never shown any interest. And so the leadership question in PDP began to show sign that, well, there is no leader after all. President Obasanjo tore the card, clearly indicating that he was no longer interested in the party. President
Or any party for that matter.
Or any party for that matter. But he was one of the biggest beneficiaries of PDP. So no matter what, you can't just jettison it like that. But he did, for reasons that I won't question. He's an elder statesman, he's a father. I won't question that. President Jonathan left PDP. He has never shown any single interest in the party. And so the vacuum, the leadership vacuum was created, because you would expect ordinarily that people who have been president, who are members of the party, remain in the party, take interest, and give direction and guidance. PDP didn't have that.
Yeah, but when they're elevated to the position of elder statesmen, they become, you know, a statesman for all Nigerians, and not partisan politics.
As far as the state are concerned, I'm an elder statesman in Benue State. I'm a member of PDP, and I take part in the meetings and interest to guide the young ones who are coming behind. In any society, even at the village level, you have elders who guide that society. So you can't benefit from a platform and jettison that platform. Now, I'm bringing this context to show that the problems of PDP did not start just yesterday.
Yeah,
it
but
started,
the
it
PDP,
started long ago.
I see the point you're making, but I mean, the PDP doesn't just depend on Goodluck Jonathan and Obasanjo.
No.
I mean, there are people like you in the party.
I'm coming. What I'm saying is it has to do with leadership.
Yeah.
Once there was no clear leader, the governors, elected governors of PDP, because they are now holding the state in different regions, became obviously the leaders of the party. And every person was expecting that they would give leadership. That is why you have the leadership of PDP Governors Forum. That leadership has not come. There has been complaint. There are obvious breaches of the provisions of the constitution of the party, which are glaring to everybody. A lot of people have spoken about it. A lot of noise have been made. No decision was taken. So what is happening in Delta is going to happen in a lot of states.
So you expect it's going to get worse?
It's going to get worse because, you see, in any organization that you don't have good leadership, there's no way you expect anything better than what is happening.
Well,
now.
some people could make the argument about Nigeria and the issue of leadership.
Charles, we're not talking about Nigeria.
No, I know,
we're talking about
but
PDP.
I'm just
so let's
saying
focus
that,
on PDP.
Right.
If you call me here to discuss Nigeria, I will very well.
Well, I mean, there's no way that that Nigeria would not be a subset of a discussion about the PDP. I mean,
it is the same thing. If we don't have good leadership in a country, of course, you are going to have issues. Let's focus on PDP.
So the point you're making basically is that looking at the PDP itself, because I mean, you say it started with Obasanjo. Some people say it started in 2015. That there's a lot of scar tissue, basically, from that defeat that the party suffered in 2015 and subsequently in 2019 and again in 2023. And it's just been downhill with the party further weakened after each election subsequent to 2015.
Exactly the point I'm making, Charles. If President Obasanjo, as the leader of our party, had stayed in the party, he would have been able to guide the sitting president then and guide we, the younger ones, towards a direction that apparently we wouldn't have lost the election. But the leader of the party decided to unceremoniously leave the party. Now, the president, the sitting president, was left. There was no person that could talk to him. You know, talking to a president, you must either be a very senior person in the country whom he respects or a former president. There was no such thing. So a lot of things happened. We lost the election in 2015. That alone wouldn't have been anything. But beyond that, the president himself who lost that election showed no interest in the party. And so the party was left with no single leadership. The governors who are leaders in their own state have to come together and provide leadership. Divergent interest setting, that wasn't going to come. And so PDP began to degenerate the leadership of the PDP became a problem, and a lot of people question it. First and foremost, the issue of whether the constitution of the party was respected. Of course, you and I know that it wasn't respected. The provisions of the constitutions copiously state that if for any reason the person who is the chairman from a particular area leaves, there's a period that the deputy should act, and then they should move back to that decision. That has not happened up to now. Of course, you don't expect people from the North Central to be happy and have the same interest they had in the PDP. And other people who are also not comfortable with the current leadership of the PDP, of course. You saw what happened in the East, where they have to drag the case all the way to the Supreme Court and back to the party now. So there are a lot of problems. And these issues, why they were going on, people were saying that, look, this leadership has a problem. I don't blame Okowa for what he did. If he was also somebody who didn't like what was happening in PDP as it related to the leadership, and there was nothing he could do, then he's taking his stand.
Right. So basically, you don't have a problem with people like that because they decided to quit. They basically had enough, and they said they were going to leave.
Some people have had it up to here. There are people who have not left, but have no single interest in PDP any longer.
Yeah.
There are quite a number of big stakeholders in PDP who are just staying and looking at it. They are no longer interested.
Do you have interest in the party still?
I have interest in the party, but I also have my own limit as a human being.
Right.
And I'm getting to that limit. So there are a lot of stakeholders. For instance, the former governor of Imo, Emeka, he resigned from the PDP a long time ago because he couldn't have...
You mean Emeka Ehedio?
Ehedio, yes.
Right, yeah.
There's quite a number of former governors. You won't see them in any meeting of PDP now because there's incompetence at the level of leadership in PDP.
Right.
And so they see no reason why they should continue to engage in, the pretense of, people who will come and advise an incompetent leadership. And so a lot of people might not go out to pronounce the way Okowa did, but you won't see them there. They're not showing interest.
But are you even mildly impressed by what you saw today? We saw Umar Damagum, your acting
national crying over speed milk
chairman, saying that he's going to pursue legal action.
Charles, you have milk on the table. A little kid is drawing near, and you know that what will be the obvious consequences that will hit that milk to spill on the ground. You watch that milk spill on the ground and you start crying over it when it was obvious to you that that was going to happen.
Yeah, but having spilled that milk, what do you then do? Because the milk has been spilled.
In life, especially in agriculture, when you plant a seed, when you plant a seed, it dies first. Then it germinates, and then you have a new growth, and probably you have a new harvest. Where we are now, PDP is dead. So it needs to regerminate first and foremost. Of course, maybe the younger generation who are coming are the one who will resuscitate it. With the current leadership at the PDP, no person will stay in PDP.
So
in the next 6 months, with that leadership at the national level of PDP, a lot of people are going to go. A lot of governors are going to go. Not just governors. A lot of stakeholders are going to go.
But if the governors...
If today that leadership of PDP is changed at the National Secretariat, well, you might say that there might be light at the end of the tunnel. But PDP, as it presently constituted, nothing good will come out of it.
But if the governors were the inheritors of the power that you were talking about, why can't they get rid of the current leadership?
They didn't show leadership. I told you about divergent interests. People brought in very myopic interest into the whole thing. Every person was thinking that I would be a presidential candidate, so this person will answer to me, this one will answer to me. It's all about that. It wasn't about the overall national interest of members of PDP. It was about selfish, myopic interests from different people.
People you can control, basically.
People you can control. It was about, it's okay, if it is this one that is the chairman, I can't control him. If it is this one, I can't control him. That is what has happened there. As far as that is what is on ground, you will see no change. You will see more and more people leaving the party.
I know that in the past, in the recent past, you expressed interest to become the chairman of the PDP. If you were PDP chairman, given the analogy you use that the milk has been spilt, if you became chairman, what would you do at this critical moment to shore up the party's defenses?
I wouldn't have allowed that milk to be knocked down to be spilled.
Yeah, but it's now been
I would have
knocked down.
taken proactive
If
steps.
they came to you tomorrow and said, we're going to make you the chairman, what would you do subsequent to that?
After the milk has been spilled, how do I get it back?
So you basically wouldn't accept it.
People are so disenchanted and disgruntled in PDP now.
But wouldn't they be inspired by people like yourself, like a new fresh blood?
To an extent that to get a lot of these people back, especially most of the major stakeholders, that some of them that I talked with and we interact, is going to be a Herculean task. PDP as it is now is going to be a very, very, very difficult. It's an uphill task to revive it to a winning position.
Right. But if you...
For the governors, they made a major mistake.
Right.
Without consultation, they went to Ibadan and announced that they will not be part of any coalition. Who did they consult? You are a governor in your own state. That doesn't mean that you will arbitrarily go and stand and take a decision that you should have only consulted with the people. That is a decision that would have been taken by the neck of the party, not by a group of persons. The same governors who participated in that meeting are the same ones who are defecting today.
If you became chairman, I'm just talking about a hypothetical situation, and because a lot of people have argued that the reason the PDP failed in 2023 was because it did not adhere to its zoning policy. If, for example, you've also argued about that same thing with the North Central sort of chairmanship of the party and so on. If you became chairman and you showed that you were going to have great fidelity to those rules, do you think it would make a difference? That people would be re-energized and re-inspired?
Charles, as hypothetical as your question is, I will answer it. If I was the chairman and the agitation of the people is that, look, we need to keep to the convention of the party. And it was obvious to me that that is what will make us win election. Of course, as a good leader, I will accede to that.
Right.
And that is the only way that any society works without acrimony or without any agitation. If that was adhered to, if, of course, the issue of national chairman, as stated clearly in the constitution of the party, was adhered to. And somebody, at this point, when I came here, and we spoke the last time, I told you that it mustn't be me, but it should go to where it's supposed to go. That is the only way that people will now have faith that if it comes to my turn, we will get it.
Right.
This is one thing that APC did. Against all odds, President Tinubu is the president now because some elements in the party believed that in APC, there was an agreement that after 8 years of Buhari, it should go to the south. And most of the people who kept to that agreement were very prominent northerners who insisted that we must keep to that. Whether Tinubu is doing what they want now or not, at least other people now believe that if it is my turn, they will keep faith to it. PDP, a party in opposition that is supposed to have respected their own constitution, breached it. The same governors who gathered and said they will be not part of a coalition were leaders of that. And they expect that I, sitting in Benue, will listen and respect what they said. Of course, it's just not me. And a lot of people just laughed at it because it didn't make any meaning. At the time that they would have taken steps that would have served the situation that we found ourselves in, they didn't.
Well, on that rather downbeat note, I want to say thank you very much indeed for coming in. This is actually the first time that I've heard you not be as optimistic as you usually tend to be, and that is rather disappointing. But I think you're having fidelity to your own conscience,
I'm being factual.
which is very important.
That is exactly what is on the ground.
Senator Gabriel Suswam is a former lawmaker, former two-term governor of Benue State, and a leading member, at least for now, of the PDP. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Oz.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.